Welcome to another episode of the Opportunity Podcast. Today, I am speaking with Shane Barker, the founder of TraceFuse, that helps Amazon FBA sellers just like you out in the audience manage your reviews and making sure you are not getting attacked by a bunch of fraudsters who are trying to get you lower on the Amazon listing page and hijacking your reviews. So Shane has been a buddy of mine for a while, and his company TraceFuse has really started blowing up. And so I thought it'd be cool to bring him on and talk a bit about this cottage industry of fraudsters that are leaving these one-star reviews. And some of the stuff he says really surprised me at how this is done. And one of them that I thought was probably more insidious was how a lot of these people are trying to attack your listing. They'll actually leave you a 4-star review, and then in the comment they will say your product is fine, but all these products are better, and basically take over your listing through almost like a parasite SEO way of driving your potential customers away from you into their listings. So very, very interesting conversation. We touched a little bit on, what's on everyone's minds right now, tariffs. And I don't know when this is coming out, but it should be relatively recent with the new tariffs that have been announced as of April 10th, at least. But this is a great conversation. If you are looking for help on your reviews, I think this is a good podcast. And even if you're not, if you're still selling on Amazon and don't think you have a review issue, pay special attention to the part where Shane and I talk about the difference in sales velocity that happened between a person that had a 4.2 rating and a 4.3 rating. It was pretty shocking, and that's not clickbait. I was actually genuinely shocked. It was so much money. With that said, I'll stop talking and we'll get right into it. So I'll see you on the inside. All right, I have Shane Barker here with me, the founder of TraceFuse. Shane, you've been on the podcast. I think it was like 2 years ago. We were talking about it offline. You and I have been buddies for a while, but for my audience who might be returning and not have heard of the glorious name that is Shane, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are?
Yeah, I mean, for all those people that don't know me, that's a little disturbing, but I'll give you a little backstory here just so we can all get on the same page. Yeah, my name is Shane Barker. I've been, in the digital space this is where you start to age yourself. I used to say like 10, 15 years, and my wife's like, no, it's been like 25 years. So I'm not good at numbers, but that's okay. It's not what we're here to talk about today. I've been in the digital space for about 25 years, started in the SEO, building websites, actually ended up teaching at UCLA. Created their influencer marketing program over there with Amanda, a friend of mine. So yeah, man, I have a long history of definitely online stuff. I mean, that's really where I spent most of my time. Used to own a bar in Chico, California, many moons ago. So, we talk about, Shane, I'm Shane 4.0 right now. Like we have Shane 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. We're iterating and trying to be a better human as we continue to build this thing called Shane Barker. So yeah, now we have TraceFuse that we've been working on. We're going to be talking about today about obviously helping sellers in the Amazon space remove negative reviews. So yeah, I'm pumped, man. It's always nice to chat with you, Greg. I love your content on LinkedIn and all the stuff you got going. You're a busy man over there. I'm just trying to keep up with you.
Well, I think you do a good enough job, my friend. And I am glad we get to talk about TraceFuse and how that really is just a front for another bar in Chico, California. Yes. And this is how you get all the good reviews, I assume, is using TraceFuse. So
it involves alcohol. Yeah, it does. And that's the way that we really get the good reviews is we get them all loose, and then we get them to say the things that we want them to say. I mean, it's kind of the same way that I get my wife to reiterate our yearly marriage. I have to convince her, and we usually involves wine, and then I get her, and then she says, okay, sounds good, and she signs off for another year. So alcohol is a big part of mainly my personal stuff, not necessarily business, but sometimes it bleeds over.
Annual pricing plans doing their magic work.
That's
exactly so talk to me a bit about TraceFuse, man. I think last time we spoke, I don't remember if this had already started, if you were already doing it, but give my audience like the big pitch of what is TraceFuse all about. Like, what are you doing here for the FBA people?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think last time we had talked at one of the conferences. I know you've only been to 1 million, and I've been to a few thousand or something. Every time I would talk to you, it was like you were going to the next one. But yeah, I mean, I think at that time we were in beta and we were testing it with some sellers, and so that was kind of a secret. And I say secret, but it was a thing that we were doing behind the scenes to see if we could crack the code to get reviews removed on Amazon. And when I talk about reviews, I don't mean just every review, any review that you don't like. I mean, sometimes bad reviews are good because it helps you to be able to improve product. I mean, there's some value in it as well. We're really looking at reviews that violate Amazon's guidelines. They have a set of guidelines, their own rules that they have. And then we also look at fraudulent activity. So at the end of the day, what we do is we help sellers remove negative reviews on their product listings because a lot of the times they can get attacked. There's a lot of sometimes nefarious stuff that can happen depending on categories and stuff like that. So we've seen a lot of that over the years. And once again, we're going to talk about some of the crazier things that we've seen. And I'm actually looking forward to sharing this with the audience, because I think most sellers believe this is something that's not even possible. Like when I started the company, I started it off at, it was called Powwow. It was an event in Florida. And people were like, yeah. They were like, no, there's no way you can do this. And people were kind of side-eyeing me going, nah, that seems like gray hat, probably black hat. And so what I ended up doing was putting my face on the company and saying, hey, like, why would I taught at UCLA and I, built up a good personal brand. Why would I scam people or do weird stuff to if it's going to mess up what I built? And so we put our, most companies that are anything in the review space, reputation management, there's not a lot of, you don't really know who's behind the scenes. I put my face on it, not because, I think I'm some big deal, but it's really so that I can say, hey, I'm putting my name on this company because obviously I own it and I want people to know that we're serious. And so we, we'll get into the numbers, but at that time it was hard to even get people to sign up. And now we got 500 clients and removed over 13,000 reviews for our clients to date. So we're very, very proud of that. Not an easy process, but we'll talk about that today.
Well, congratulations on your success, man. I know this is a need from we sell more FBA businesses than pretty much anyone, right?
Absolutely.
And the thing our clients always talk about is getting just fake review bombed. It's like it's
yeah,
a whole cottage industry, right? So before we get into what goes into like fake and legitimate review, maybe just for a brief couple minute overview of how the rating and review system on Amazon works. Like, how do these reviews affect your product listings? Like, why should anyone care other than the obvious reasons? I feel good to get a 5-star review. I feel bad to get a 1-star review. Like, how does this play in the Amazon ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, really at the end of the day, reviews are the lifeline. It's the core of Amazon. I mean, it really is. We base everything off of reviews, right? We go and we look at it, whether we consciously do it or whether we just do it, it's being done, right? You go and you look at it and you're like, oh, it looks like it's got a 4.6. It's got 500 reviews. I'm going to buy the product, right? And so that's kind of what we look at. So a lot of people don't realize that the review system that they have. So let me define two things. So we've got reviews. They're actually physically something written, right? Somebody wrote something. And then you have ratings. So ratings is something that we can't do anything with. The reason why is because we can't, there's nothing against Amazon's guidelines when you just click something for a rating, right? So there's really nothing that you can do there for the most part. Actually, there is some things you can do, but the reviews are where we focus on, right? We're looking at where somebody physically wrote something about your actual product, right? So, and that could be, once again, it could be something that's true about your product, or it could be something that's not true. And we'll kind of go into like the different types of reviews that we see and which ones we can go after and how that all works. But at the end of the day, I mean, the reviews not only affect sales, they affect what we call your BSR, your bestseller ranking, your actual star rating. And we see a huge drop for all of our clients or people before they signed up with us at a 4.3 to a 4.2. That's a huge drop for a lot of people because you can lose anywhere from 10 to 50% of your sales because you lose that half a star. It also affects your PPC cost, right? If you get, your PPC cost starts to go up, there's a certain point on some categories. If you hit a 3.9 underneath a 4, you can't even do PPC. So it really is the, whether if you're a seller, you need to really focus in on this. Like the reviews are the biggest thing you've got going, right? When you talk about, and we see a lot of, people getting attacked as well, right? Where it's like, hey, you're going to launch a product and guess what? Somebody comes and gives you a 1-star review and your launch is done. 100% done, right? I mean, it just is. And people come to us, hey, what can I do? And it's like, we have a monitoring system now for those types of situations. In case somebody gets attacked, then our system automatically pulls those reviews in and we file cases assuming there's something wrong with the reviews, right? Once again, we're not filing on every single review that comes in or any critical reviews, the 1, 2s, and 3s. We're filing on cases that are somebody said something that was egregious and absolutely against Amazon's guidelines.
Yeah, that makes sense. And to your point, like even further on, like if you want to sell your FBA business, like one of the things the buyers are looking at is your reviews, right? Like
100%.
Buyers are willing to pay a lot more for like a 4.6 review than this 1.3 thousand reviews. Like, what is this dodgy product that I'm looking to acquire?
It affects your multiples.
It does.
At the end of the day, right? I mean, that's the first test. The first thing you look at is that if you have a 3.9 or let's say a 3.2, they're going to come in and lowball you because at the end of the day, because you're not going to be selling as much as you can. So you got to do whatever you can to be able to get your business, get those multiples up. And guess what? That means looking at those reviews. I mean, I'll be honest, and we should probably talk about this offline. I've talked about going in and buying companies that don't have, the reviews aren't that great, going in and buying those companies for, a discount and going in and cleaning them up and then reselling them. because we're the only company. Yeah.
Everyone that just heard you say that, Shane, for everyone in my audience, I want you all to go buy an FBA business from me and then get on Shane's software.
That's it. That's the solution. I
Not
might
just
just go
Shane.
buy them.
Everyone in the audience, go buy one, please.
That's
Help my
it.
KPIs.
Just that's it. Do it for the kids. That's all that we care about. Just let's get some sales going, folks.
So let's talk a little bit about these different types of reviews. So obviously there's legitimate bad reviews, legitimate good reviews, but how are we identifying like fake reviews? Like how can we spot the difference here as a seller? What's the hallmarks, I guess?
Yeah. So what we do is where there's, once again, most of the things that we do are filing against Amazon's guidelines. So that's mentioning competitors, cussing, pricing, racist comments. If it's FBA related stuff, can be shipping, can be Amazon selling a used product, it going there late. But the fraudulent side of things is something that we've added into the software. And there's a number of things that we look at. Obviously, one of the big indicators for us is if there is a seller that comes a buyer that comes and buys, like, let's say 5 of the products of our clients and gives them a 1-star review, and then just happens to buy the competitor that has a very comparable product. Let's say they have creatine, right? So they tried this creatine, gave me diarrhea, my leg fell off, I can't see out of my right eye, worst thing ever, I almost died, right? This is creatine, folks. This isn't like, kerosene or something. And then on the other side of it, guess what? They're like, oh my God, best creatine ever. I got my personal best. I've never ran this fast. My wife and I just got back together and I bought a Ferrari. It's like, wait a second. Like over here, you're almost dead. And now you've got a Ferrari, which, congratulations if that was your transition in life. But at the end of the day, it's like, but we see crazy stuff like that. And then so what we look at and we go, okay, let me ask you a question, Greg. This is, everybody's listening. They're going to be judging. So if you answer wrong, this is going to be embarrassing. Yeah, no, because I know my questions are only going to get harder at the end now. So I should probably be very, very careful in what I ask. But I know you're like, I could just delete this podcast, Shane. Just know that if you keep this up. No, but as a consumer, when you buy a product on Amazon and you hate it and give it a 1-star, Greg, how many more of those products do you buy? Just you as a consumer.
Never buy
you hated
another
it,
one.
right?
Why
0. Like that's everybody's answer. So my point is, so statistically, I go, well, Amazon, this person bought 5 of my products, hated the first one, hated the second one, bought a third one because they hated it so much, bought a fourth one. So that's the first, that's when the spider sense starts tingling, right? We look at that and go, okay, hey, there's something funny going on here. Then we look at the buyer's account and we look back over there and say, okay, hey, did they, once again, bought these products, very comparable, hated ours, loved theirs. We also look at fake buyer's accounts as in, some people in the past, what they would do is they would go and they would hire a virtual assistant and they would say, hey, buy these 10 products from these, 3 buyers accounts. Here goes the reviews I want you to write. Just copy and paste them. And they would copy and paste them in. And most of the time this would happen is because people would assume that Amazon's not going to do anything. And sometimes those go through the cracks, right? Sometimes Amazon doesn't see them. Well, we do see those, right? And so we go to Amazon and say, hey, what's the likelihood that Bob in Los Angeles, Jennifer in Las Vegas, and Renee in Albuquerque, New Mexico wrote the exact same reviews for these products? This is the worst product in the world, 4 exclamation marks, right? It's 0 likelihood. And then we have 3 of those reviews that are exactly the same. So we build a case or an escalation case with Amazon and say, hey, there's a problem here, right? So we're looking at statistics. So when we build out these cases, most sellers, and this is, I used to run into this category, send emotional cases to Amazon. I'm not saying Amazon doesn't care about you, but Amazon is like, they don't care about your emotion, right? That what you need to do is you need to give them the facts, right? You need to be able to back it up. So I'm looking at things statistically, right? So I go, hey, what are the odds that you buy a second one, a third one, a fourth, fifth one? Well, it's 0. Nobody buys 5 of the same products after they hate it, right? Like, so that's what we look at. So we build out a case that Amazon goes, okay, this makes sense. You have to make it very easy for Amazon to understand what you're talking about. Leave the emotion out of it. Emotion doesn't need to be in it, even though I know somebody's attacking your baby, right? Like at the end of the day, when you get attacked, like I get it. Like I wear my emotions on my sleeve, right? I was raised by hippies, right? That's important for people to know, right? Like I'm a hugger, right? So if I see you, I'm going to hug you, but I'm also can get emotional about things. So I have to go, hey, we got to take this back, maybe a few minutes and read this and say, hey, does Amazon care about that? Or does anybody care about that? Or should I come with facts or emotion? What's going to get more bang out of your buck? What's going to get that review removed? So we base this off of just statistics, right? Like, does this make sense, right? And we build it out for them. And then they go and they take a look at it and we go back and forth with Amazon. And our goal is obviously to get those reviews removed for our clients. But I will tell you, when it comes to like fraudulent stuff, Amazon is doing a good job. I mean, obviously some stuff gets through the cracks, right? I mean, it's not things happen. But I will tell you, they are very, like when it comes to the fraud stuff, they take it very seriously because obviously FTC and there's been some things going on. So they take it very seriously. When you file an escalation case, but what you got to be careful of is you can't file, or you don't want to file an escalation case that doesn't have a smoking gun, right? Doesn't have clear stats and statistics and information on why you need to do this. Because if you start just filing escalation cases, Amazon will quit responding to you, right? I mean, so you got to be really careful with that because you're wasting their time at that point, right? They're going to get, hey, you're just, right, you're like an ex-girlfriend that keeps knocking on the door and it's like, I'm just going to move, right? Like, I'm just going to keep knocking on the door, but I'll be someplace else, right? So that's kind of what we look at when it comes to this. So the fraud is something that is harder to detect, but we also look at review velocity. That's another one. So in other words, if you used to get, one review a day or one negative review a day, now you're getting 5 a day or 10 a day, 20 a day. So, they comes and you talked about review bots, right? Or whatever that is, where somebody comes in and just attacks you. I mean, those things, and usually it happens before, 1 month before Prime Day or 1 month before Christmas, or there's these times when all of a sudden you get hit. Well, guess what happens? Most of the time, the people that are attacking you are the people that are right below you in the BSR, or I guess above you, and you want to go down below, right? And so that's usually what happens. And so I believe like in the supplement space, we have some huge supplement clients. I believe that when people started attacking each other from an ROI perspective, it makes sense. It doesn't make sense from a business perspective, just an ethical perspective. I don't believe in any of it. I don't think it should happen, but it is happening and it happens on a daily basis. And I think what people realize is, hey, I can buy this product, and you can Google it. And people in Australia are receiving bottles of creatine they never ordered, right? I mean, it actually is very common where my mom would be like, I just got 3 packages today and I didn't order anything. I'm like, and she couldn't find out where it came from, right? Those are fake buyers accounts and they're a verified buyer now. So that's what you got to look at is like, hey, when you see those types of things and you got to kind of say, okay, well, how am I going to, protect my brand, right? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. You spend time and money and resources and you want to do everything you can to protect your baby. And then your baby starts getting attacked and it becomes frustrating. And so guess what? People start attacking back. I'm not saying it's the way to go, but you can only get punched in the face so many times before you go, you know what? I'm going to start swinging too, right? And so I believe that's what's happened with some categories. And it's really sad to see. It just is because it's, there's plenty of money. Amazon's pretty big last time I checked. And the supplement industry, as an example, is billions of dollars. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. And it's probably one of the dirtiest industries in terms of the competition. It is
absolutely is. Oh, it is. It's like, I mean, you might as well be a blood in a crip and, be trying to fight over a street. Like I actually would rather fight Bloods or Crips than supplement
this is a wild story. It's not an FBA story, but it is a supplement story. I have an old buddy, like super big affiliate marketer in the media space, like buying media. And he used to sell these supplements that were oxygen pills. And there was nothing in the pills. It was literally just air. I was like, dude, like this is so unethical. He's like, well, there really is oxygen. And I'm like, oh my God, dude.
That's a marketer for you. I'm selling ice to an Eskimo. This makes sense. No, this is specialized.
As a man from Alaska, let me tell you, we would not buy the man's ice.
No, we will not buy your ice. We do not want tariffs on our ice. Yeah, right. Exactly.
So, just real quick on the escalation thing, you're absolutely correct on the smoking gun thing. Like when we first started selling FBA businesses, Amazon be like, oh, you can't do this, you can't sell accounts, blah, blah, blah. Like, well, we're not selling the account, we're selling the business. And actually, it's illegal for you to tell me that we can't do that. So escalated up for they like peaked their ears, like, oh God, okay, yes, it's fine.
I mean, you can. Well, you don't have to own the building to sell the business, right? At the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to. It's like it's brick and mortar. You might not own the land, but you can still sell the assets and everything that you've got, which still makes it very valuable.
For sure. So when people, hopefully I agree with you. I don't think people should retaliate back with more fake reviews, but when someone gets attacked by fake reviews, do you find out like who did it? Is there consequences for these people? Like, or is it just like, I removed my fake reviews, I hope they don't come after me again? Like, what's usually the fallout from this?
Well, when we do escalation cases, what we're looking to do is to knock down that buyer's account. So the reason why this is so valuable for like our clients, as an example, they lose their 1 stars, but guess what? The competitor loses their 5 stars. Because what happens, they use those accounts to attack, let's say my client, right? And they're using the same account to give their, buy their own products and give themselves a 5 star. So when we get that buyer's account removed, guess what happens? This person, our client, loses their 1 stars. They lose their 5 stars. So you see this huge switch because they're losing terrible reviews. They're losing good reviews. And then all of a sudden they're way up higher in the BSR because we just knocked down a buyer's account.
Is
And
that pretty
sometimes it
common?
could be,
Do you see that happen quite often?
it is less common, obviously, than, seeing violations and reviews, right? I mean, I would say we file an escalation case. Once again, the hard part about it is it just has to have a smoking gun, right? This can't be built off of like, I think potentially sort of, I feel like maybe this might have been attacked, like that's not happening. We take it very seriously. We're probably filing, I would say, depending on the category, probably maybe 1 out of 10, 1 out of 15, I would say, something right around there.
That's so pretty
But
good
once
metric.
again,
Like black hat SEO
yeah,
recovery. You don't get anything
yeah.
typically.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, how do you find out the person, right? Like sometimes people will get sloppy and sometimes they'll like maybe they started off with their original buyer's account and we can go and find out who owns that account sometimes. But you have to realize like, these guys, you grew up in the SEO space. Like once somebody figures out something, then the roaches go some other place and they figure something out and they build another house and then you try to stomp them. And just so everybody knows, like,
are loving you comparing them to cockroaches.
That's the way I look at it, right? Like it's like at the end of the day, it's like
I love it. So how common are these attacks? Like I said to you at the beginning, I know there's like almost a cottage industry around doing these negative attacks, but like, is it mostly just kind of confined to certain niches or is it like extremely widespread?
Well, I mean, it's more common in certain niches. As I said, I think, beauty, pet, supplements, definitely. Like we have 500 clients, but our top 10 clients, I think 9 of them are in the supplement space. It's just very egregious. What it really comes down to is, let me give you an example. If you, sell a brake bike, right? And let's say it's a $500 brake, and let's say it's big, right? Let's say it's a good size. You're probably not going to go buy 10 of those at $500 and ship them off to somebody in Australia to be able to, because I mean, how many people are really buying those? Now, on the other side of that, guess what? Supplements, you might buy a bike brake once a year, once every 3 years, right? So it's not like supplements. If I get hooked on your supplement, guess what? I'm taking it, let's say, every 30 days. So the lifetime value of that client is a lot higher, right? Because you're paying $50 and $50 and $50 and $50, and great, you do it for 2 or 3 years. That could be worth a few $1,000s to you. So what happens is those are high profit margins. Your creatine costs you $3 to make. You sell it for $50. Very smaller packaging, easy to ship wherever, right? If I'm going to ship this brake, it's not only going to cost me $500, but it's going to cost me $100 in shipping. So I'm $600 in just to say that I'm a verified buyer, praying that in 3 years they're going to see this review and they're going to come and buy my product and not their product. So usually that's why it's beauty. That's why it's pet. Like toys and stuff for dogs, smaller, consumable things that are going to be used over and over and over where the lifetime value is higher. So that's where we're seeing a lot of this happen. And these categories, once again, if you're looking at eyelash, whatever, eyeliner, whatever it is, what does it really cost to make that, right? And to ship it is, $1, $2, $5, like it's inexpensive. So when I say it makes sense, none of this makes sense. I'm just saying it makes sense from an ROI perspective. They know that if I go and I buy 15 of their products and give them a 1-star review, I know that will knock them down fast enough that I can, when Prime Day's right around the corner or Christmas or something. And it happens a lot. I think people, I'll ask people, I talk to probably 30 to 50 sellers a week at least, because we've just, I do back-to-back meetings. I'm kind of a savage, but at the end of the day, it's like, I always ask them, hey, do you think you've been attacked? Right? And some of them are like, no. And then I'll look at the reviews and I said, I think you have been. And they look at it and they go, oh, wow, I didn't even know that. Like I felt like something was going on, but I didn't really know. And I've seen so many reviews in my days at this point. We have AI obviously that disseminates between, what's compliant with Amazon and what's not. But my eyeball stuff, and I can tell you right away that I'm like, hey, there's something not right here, right?
Is that just the way the reviews formatted or how so?
Formatted, what's being said in the review, maybe grammatical errors. It can be, they're using the same terminology. Oh, this is a scam. I mean, there's just certain things that like, how it is, man. Like over the years, it's like you just look at something, you're like, okay, I've seen so many of these and this is a reason why. Like, give you an example. Like people don't realize that it's against Amazon's guidelines to mention a competitor. Right. And so a lot of people just go, oh, okay, hey, I really like these, Nike shoes, but I really love my Adidas better. Right. And that could be a 4-star review. You're like, oh, they like Nikes. But what I'm really saying is go buy the Adidas. Right. Which is kind of tricky because I've just recently, this is about 2 weeks ago, we had a client come to us and say, hey, can you guys remove 4- and 5-star reviews? And I was like, We
Why?
can. Well, yeah. And I'm like, whoa, like my spider. I was like, wait a second. There's something that like,
Interesting.
why? Well, because exactly that. Their best review was saying, oh, this was a good product, but we like this one better. In fact, this one was really good. My kids enjoyed it, but my kids absolutely went nuts for this one. And, but we did. And once again, my husband liked it, thought it was pretty good. But I'll tell you, he really loved it when we ended up buying this one again. And what you're doing is you're saying, cool, but buy this. This is
So
cool,
you
but buy
basically your
this.
top review becomes an ad basically for your competitor.
That's exactly what it is. So now it's like, and I probably shouldn't even say this. What's that?
It's almost like parasite SEO. You're like taking their rankings and using it for yourself.
That's exactly it. I mean, and so it's like they see that and they just didn't know. They were like, well, we just thought we couldn't, there's nothing that could be done. And I'm like, no, you cannot mention a competitor for that exact reason. That's why Amazon has these guidelines, right? Because people get tricky and they get sneaky. And so that's the problem. When we look at that and I say, yeah, we got to file on that. Because what happens is the other thing that they do is that they'll start saying that it's helpful, right? So now you have a review that's clearly saying your competitor's better, but it's a 5-star review. And then guess what? You get attacked and then all of a sudden that's the number one thing. You got 100 people saying that it's helpful and Amazon goes, well, it must be helpful. And I'm like, well, hold on though. Like, so that's where we have to file some cases and get some stuff going. But the problem is as sellers, it becomes, you feel a little helpless when you get attacked, because there's not, I think Amazon does what they can, but there's always room to improve, right? I mean, there's the minute, like I said, the minute you stop this, I hate to say cockroach, but great, then 10 more come out, right? So it is a moving target. I think Amazon does a good job and we're there to kind of pick up where they don't, or things they miss out on and to be able to help clients. And this is how sellers feed their families, man. Like it's not just, going to buy their 10th Ferrari. I mean, that's maybe my supplement.
Unless you're the creatine guy.
Yeah, I mean, that's, okay. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's, they need more houses, apparently. I guess they just have more needs. I don't know. Because they're bigger, I guess, from taking creatine. I don't know.
So we talked a bit about, these different type of reviews. I hadn't heard about that top review strategy. It makes total sense in a very black hat way to do that. What are some other surprising reviews you've taken down? Anything that's just way out there? Tell me some stories.
Yeah, I've got one. Now that we didn't look recently, I don't think we've gotten this one removed, but we have a client. So hopefully this is not, I'm getting a little racy, but not too racy. I don't think this is you're going to have to go cover your kids' ears. I'm going to spice this up a little bit. We're going to go.
This is a family-friendly podcast. In fact, only children listen to this podcast. So.
This is, well,
you gotta be
careful. I'm not supposed to be on any podcast where there's kids listening, but that's okay. We'll figure this out. You guys can contact my attorney, but so actually it's not that bad. So what it was is there was a guy that, and this is a legit review. I actually saw this review when I did a demo for this guy, and hopefully he's not listening because I won't say his name. But what the review was, it was a morning after pill is what it was. And so there was this lady, and so what she did, what was her name? It doesn't really matter. So she said was, here, I'm just going to pull it up. I won't share it, but I literally have it right here because I took a screenshot of it. I'll read it verbatim. Okay. So this is Jules. Jules with the Z. Oh, dude, I know, right? You're just like, man, are we going to be able to air this podcast or not? We just won't know until Shane's done talking. So this is what it says. This is the title. And that's with 3 M's. It doesn't work, LOL. So this is the actual thing. This is the baby I had after using this morning after pill. I took these roughly 8 hours after doing the deed. Hopefully I don't have to explain what the deed is. Look up deeds online. And even took another one the day after to be safe. It's okay though, because I love being a mama and everything worked out okay, but I was pissed. That's capital. That's PISSED for all you folks out there. When that pregnancy test came out positive, and I am not kidding you, she has a picture of her baby for the morning after. And there's 31 people that found that very helpful because they don't want to have babies, right? And I'm not saying I agree with morning after. I'm not saying I agree with the product. I'm just the messenger here on this podcast. But that was literally a review. Now, there's nothing really that violates Amazon's guidelines, right? She didn't really cuss. She didn't mention pricing. She didn't do anything like that. But that's kind of some of the stuff we see. Now, the picture of the baby, we did go look that up, see if it was AI, right? We were definitely doing some due diligence on the back end to see, whatever is happening there. But yeah, I mean, we see reviews all the time, like some that we're like, oh my God, that one's absolutely going to get removed and we have to fight Amazon over it. And there's other ones that people are like, oh, there's no way you can get that removed, and it gets removed. I mean, that's the crazy part is if, once again, if somebody mentions a competitor, that's absolutely a situation. Anybody cusses in a review, they mention an exact pricing, So they say, oh man, I bought this for $30, but now I see it's 45. You can't do that. So those are the type, and even FBA stuff. So people go, well, and Amazon's done a pretty good job of going in and, if they'll take responsibility for it. If for FBA, it's like you guys ship it out, but not always, right? I mean, Amazon misses some things as we all do, right? I mean, it's not perfect. So we go in and we would take a look at those and say, hey, like, you guys ship out the product. You guys have been doing it for 6 months. We're getting these continuous problems. Or we'll see, people have a package of two that are supposed to go together, like a shampoo and conditioner as an example, right? Or things that actually have to go together, like, this is a foundation for this to work, right? Something like that. Those, they get shipped out separately, and that becomes an issue. So there's a lot of things that I think sellers just assume there's nothing that can be done, right? And they go, oh, there's just nothing I can do, when really there is something you can do, right? I mean, not only file on cases, because we can go back to when the ASIN was created, right? So we can file cases. If you had reviews from a long time ago, we can go after those, and then our monitoring system helps you moving forward, so that if you guys get attacked or something crazy happens, we're on top of it, which obviously a lot of people love.
So let's move into that a little bit. So describe to me how the manual process works right now for reporting fake reviews, and how TraceFuse kind of like help smooth that process out.
Yeah, I mean, really what we do is, what happens is they can go into our system and they can activate whatever ASINs they want. So we don't have to activate the whole merchant token. They activate those ASINs. And if you're a seller, then what you would do is you can click the report button. You can obviously file a case with Amazon. The issue with that is Amazon wants you to submit cases in a very specific way, and they give you a little bit of definition on what they want there. But if you mess up just a little bit, or then you can get ignored, or they won't respond to you. So we only know how to do it because we did it wrong for a long time when we were testing it. And there's so many nuances and so many things that once you figure out, then Amazon changes. And I think it's just because they're big and they're growing and, downsizing, whatever they're doing, right? I mean, there's movement always. And so sellers can go in and if you talk to any seller, most of them have tried to do it and have been unsuccessful. And so when we talk about a 10% success rate, people were like, it's not even possible. Like, we were below 1%, and that's considered a huge win. So what we do is we just know the process, right? We know we can look at a review and say, hey, this should go to, either, let's say, or vendor or seller central, but let's say it's brand registry, right? Or we're saying, hey, this needs to be an escalation case. We know the terminology to use because we know that with this type of review, you're better off filing here. And this is a terminology you need to use. And then we also know this is the cadence for how long we're going to wait until we file another case or until we get an update from Amazon. Because we also don't want to make Amazon mad. And when I say mad, I don't mean that Amazon gets mad, but you don't want to keep pounding on the door. Hey. Yeah. Hey, dude, settle down over there. Yeah. Decaf is what you're going to need in the morning moving forward. So yeah, that's what we're looking at, is like, you don't want to go and make somebody mad, right? And Amazon being that company, because you file tons of crazy cases or you're just doing all kinds of stuff, you can get blacklisted. Amazon can say, hey, listen, you're just a little too crazy for us, right? Like, we got 1 million people like you, just got to settle down a little bit. So for us, we understand the cadence, we understand the timelines, we have some methodology that we've learned through the years. That is really our secret sauce. But there is literally, maybe not 50, but there's a good amount of things that if you do wrong along the way, it's like, building a house on a bad foundation. Like, if you start it here, your house, it's just not going to work. Yeah. Right. And so that becomes the kind of the secret sauce, and that's where it becomes difficult. I do have a thing that we just launched, though, which is actually kind of glad we're bringing this up. It's called Amazon Review Checker. So what we've done, and we'll include that in the show notes, but we actually just launched this. And what this is a way for people, like, obviously I want people to use our service, but what I would really like people to do is to be able to do it on their own. Like, honestly, like, I know it takes money out of my pocket, but I'm doing this to help sellers. Like, this is, like I said, I've always had my own businesses, and when people attack your business, your baby, you take that very personally, right? We talked about the emotional thing earlier. Like, that's, man, I put all kinds of time and effort into this. And especially if you know you're getting attacked, it's like, what do you do? But at the end of the day, it's like, we want to help sellers, but that Amazon Review Checker, like I said, we'll put a link here in the show notes, but they can go in, and what will happen is they put in their ASIN, they verify their email address, we create a report for them. And what will happen is we actually send them the report, and the report will say exactly what is in violation, what is their top, let's say, 5 to 25 reviews, why they're in violation, and they can go file on their own. So now what we're doing is we're giving them access, because TraceFuse is a full white glove situation, right? They're necessarily see all the reviews that are against Amazon's guidelines. We're just filing for them because most of these companies are saying, hey, I just want to clean up my listings. I got to get up to a 4.3. I don't care what reviews you remove. I just want them to be removed, obviously in violation of Amazon's guidelines or fraudulent, right? So, we're looking at this and saying, okay, great. Now I'm saying, hey, for some of my clients are saying, hey, we don't have a lot of critical reviews. Great. Or you want to try it on your own? Awesome. So we built a tool so they can do that. So they don't need us necessarily. Great. If they're awesome and they can go and they file great cases and Amazon removes the reviews, that's awesome. Like anything I can do to help. But obviously we will always be there, in case it doesn't get removed. And hey, we're here to help as well.
So let's talk a little bit about the reputation management side of this business, in the sense that, rep management in general does have a bit of a gray hat lean,
Yeah.
as we talked about earlier in the episode. So what makes you guys, not the gray hat tactics, like what they were talking about at the Powwow conference, what a lot of other people tend to be peddling? Like, what makes you guys different? Is it just because of how much you are following the Amazon process? And what makes those other guys gray hat? Because I would assume they would have to be following the same process too.
Yeah, I think there is some gray hat stuff, not with us. We are fully white hat. Like anything we do is we're filing cases with Amazon. We're asking for access to the seller's account, to add like a user so that we can file cases on their behalf. So what we do is fully white hat. And that's the other thing people love is that we're performance driven. Like we don't get paid unless reviews get removed. So that's a huge benefit.
Oh,
and the reason we did that, because, we don't want people to be nervous about signing up with us. Now we're 500 clients and everybody's talking about us, but that original hump to get over was big, man, because I had to tell people like, listen, we're not doing anything funny. That was the reason I put my face in the company, because I'm like, hey, like I've got something more to lose than your business, right? Like I have my reputation that's cost me a lot of money to be able to, to do this and do that and get all around. I used to teach at UCLA. So it's like, at the end of the day, like, why would I ruin that over something like this? Because historically, as you're talking about, reviews and stuff are a little bit, that people imagine you like go to an alleyway and you get a little briefcase full of money. You're like, here, man, take this. You're like, oh, thanks, bro. And then you run off and you're like, hey, I'll get the reviews removed in the next week. Yeah. Like, I'll see. Hey, if you like that, I got more where that came from. It's like, oh, sounds good. Thanks, bro. Right. And then they run off and then you're like, oh, this is awesome. A lot of the black hat stuff that was happening, and it's not only in China, right? I don't mean that just all Chinese people are doing bad stuff. I'm just saying that's a lot of the time, that's where a lot of that came from. And not to say that people in the US aren't doing it. I've been to, I was in Dubai at an affiliate conference, and I've never forget this. I had a guy come walking up to me. This is before TraceFuse. He's up. First question he asked me, he goes, are you white hat or black hat? And I was like, I go, I'm white hat. And he goes, oh, it was nice meeting you. And then he just walked off. And I was like,
pathetic.
Yeah, I was like, is that bad? I guess that's bad. Like, yeah,
was this
I'm black hat, man.
Affiliate World?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Affiliate World.
Yeah,
is
I was
like the mecca of black hat affiliates.
Oh, dude, it was the wild, wild west. I was like, oh my God. Like he like shut me down because I was legit. I was like, oh, that's kind of, I don't even know how to handle that really. Like,
I would go. I've spoken at every conference they've done because I do meet like really solid people from there.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like people will come up to me who are just like part of the general crowd, and they'll ask me like, oh, what do you do? Like, oh, I help people buy and sell businesses. Like, oh, okay, you're biz op traffic. Do you want any like dating traffic? Like,
no, instantly everything is like,
I'm not biz op. Like, what do you mean? Like, I sell businesses. Like, yeah, like businesses. Like, no, like real business.
Like legit. Like, sorry that I'm not disappointing you with any of my gray hat tactics.
Right.
Yeah, we are. I mean, thing is this: we don't want to. We want to do things the right way, right? And I would never do anything that could potentially put a seller's account in danger. Like, once again, I take that very seriously because I know what it takes to build a business. And I am not going to be the person that goes and does something on the back end weird to put somebody in jeopardy. Like, that's against my ethics, my morals, and everything. The reason why we started this business is to help sellers. And I do it once again. Do I want to make money? I do enjoy money, but that's not my number one thing. I have plenty of clients that we brought on, where we're just helping them out. Because it's like, hey, like, I want to be able to help you out and be able to get you back to where, if we remove one review, that could be a difference between, I could double their sales with some of the smaller clients that we have. Sure. For me to go in and say, oh, I'm not going to help you, like, that's just not the way we do things. Like, my goal is to help sellers. I mean, we have like 13 video testimonials from clients that absolutely love our services. And the reason I'm saying that is because that's what brings me joy. When somebody says, hey, man, I was struggling. I didn't know what to do. I was like, I couldn't sell my business. It was in this rut. And then, TraceFuse came in and was able to help us, and they're protecting us moving forward. Like, that really makes me happy because I just know what it takes to build a business, and it is not easy. If it was easy, we would all have businesses.
Yeah.
And it could take one drop of the machete and you could be done and then not know where to go and not know what to do. And so my goal is to clean that up. And when people are being monitored, that will help it so that, once again, moving forward, you should be protected and good things will happen. So
I want to ask you one more question, and then I want to get into some machete territory, as you might put it.
let's do it.
So you've helped remove roughly around over 12,000 negative reviews. You
Yeah.
mentioned your smaller client like doubling sales. What kind of ROI have you seen for your clients in general, like as these reviews get cleared up?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen, I mean, depending on the big point, we kind of talked about this earlier, is really a 4.3 to a 4.2, because you lose that half a star rating. I have
Mhm.
clients that have lost 10 to 50% of their sales at that point.
Really?
And
Just
so,
about
oh
half a
yeah,
wow, that's
because it's a half a star. Yeah. Before I jumped in the industry, I would have never imagined that. I'm like, wow, 4.2 is still good. It's the visual of that half a star that people, and they go, oh, it's 4 stars. So it's not as good. A 4.5, for some reason, we used to talk about this back in the day. It was like, you have a course, and instead of charging $40, you charge $37, because that's going to be below the threshold of what people are willing to pay, and then make a decision with it. Yeah. So it's kind of the same thing with this. It's like, I didn't think it was that big, but I had a client, they were doing almost 1,000 units and they went down to 400 units. That's the worst case that I've ever heard, from a 4.3, 4.2. Now it depends on category and competition, and there's a lot of variables there. But when you see that, it's like, whoa. And so my thing I always tell people is like, hey, you got to be more proactive than reactive, right? Because what you don't want to do is you get down to a 4.2 and now you're clawing your way to get back up. And let's say we remove some reviews and we get you back up there in a month. You have 1 month of lost revenue. If you lost 50% of your revenue for that month, right? And that's where the catch-22 comes, because now it's like, well, do I spend the money to clean up the reviews while I'm making less money, right? Because that's, we're all that way, right? When I get tons of clients, I'm like, I don't need any new clients. And when a big client drops off, and I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta grab some new clients, right? So, right, you got to be a little more and think, okay, like how do we, in the monitoring system for us and for all the sellers, is to go in and protect that ASIN, right? You're at a 4.3. You don't want to drop to that 4.2. Let's get you to a 4.4. And then on our system, you can activate and deactivate ASINs anytime they want. So if they wanted to deactivate an ASIN, they just do it on the back end themselves, and we'll stop filing. And then they'll be in a nice, secure position. Now, do I recommend that? No, because you want us to monitor that, because if you get attacked. But at the end of the day, our goal is to make it so that people don't drop down any further, or clean up if they want to sell their business, which is a big one, right? Like you want to clean it up. You want your multiple to go from a 2 to a 3 or a 4 to a 5.
Anyone who wants to buy a business from me, and then
buy a business from Greg. Let's see if this subliminal message will work. Yeah. Like, buy a business from Greg now. Okay.
I'm a master.
See if that works. That's awesome. Just put out the vibe and they will buy.
I was at a conference and this guy told me, I guess he follows me on LinkedIn, and I haven't been publishing on LinkedIn lately. I need to get back into it. But he was like, Greg, I love you because you are Mr. I will hard sell you, but I'm always trolling, so you'll laugh as I'm hard selling you. Like, it sounds like you need to buy a business. Sounds like you need to sell. But
I do love that.
My early marketing influences were always the infomercial guys like Billy Mays, or the guy.
Of course.
Government secrets. So I have a little bit of that in me. But yeah, that's amazing. I think everyone should at least check out your TraceFuse and check out your software, because that amount of ROI is nuts just from getting a few points up in the rating. So yeah.
Well, it's crazy. And I think that's the reason why we have a lot of supplement clients, is because they get it, right? They understand, listen, the drop in their, from obviously the amount of sales. See, it's different. We're not good for we're good for everybody, but not if you're not selling a lot of units, it might not mean, because our price point is $250 for every review that we get removed. Now, obviously that's performance driven. Some of those people, if you have a really thin margin, that probably isn't going to make sense, right? So that's what, and I'll tell people when I do a demo for them, I don't know if this is going to make sense for you. The monitoring could, right? I think that could make sense, but if they're starting off, then it's I just don't know, right? My thing is, I know, once again, when you start a business, every minute you make $1, everybody wants 50 cents and another quarter. And it's damn, I just made $1. And so I don't want to be that guy and say, oh, I can't help you protect your brand moving forward because you don't have any money. So, I try to work something out with somebody, because at the end of the day, once again, this is, if I can make it so they can have sleep tonight, and because they have been sleeping for the last 5 weeks or whatever it is, that makes me really happy. I enjoy that, because I know how it is. I know when you get a review and it's oh man, and it's just it'll mess your whole day up. And then potentially people won't come. And, you get my point. It's like,
Totally.
it's once it happens, it starts to go down in this direction. And you're like, all of a sudden, I turned around and my business is, I was at a 4.3 and now I'm at a 3.8. What just happened?
Yeah.
And that's brutal.
So speaking of margins, I think it's time for machete time.
Let's do it.
So, as you know, in the current news cycle, I'm not sure when this will air, but it should air relatively recently or relatively soon after on the back of this news with, good old Trumpy putting tariffs on China, and China now just did their retaliation tariffs. I think they're at 84% now. Obviously, there's a lot of fear in the FBA e-com world in general. What are you seeing across your clients? Have you heard any chatter of what your people are doing, what they're expecting, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely heard some things. I think, a lot of people are waiting because there's, I say threats, but things that are happening back and forth. I think a lot of people are kind of waiting for the dust to settle to see,
Yeah.
right? Because everybody has things they can do, like, oh, tariffs here, I'm going to hit tariffs there, right? Like, I get that, but we don't know when the dust settles, what does that mean, right? Like, I know originally we were having some issues with Canada in the beginning, and then all of a sudden they had a talk. Now I don't know where they're at today. Yeah, exactly. But here we are, right? So it's like, I think a lot of companies are kind of just waiting to kind of see what's going to happen. What's the final outcome, right? It's like, in theory, I'm not saying threats, but they're conversations that are going back and forth. Eventually, there's got to be something that works for both sides. And if not, if one side wants to be on top, which I'm sure one side at least wants to be on top, right? Nobody wants to be in second place or whatever they look at when it comes to the tariffs, but it's going to affect both sides, right? I do believe that eventually it will, I don't say cancel itself out, but I think it's just going to start a conversation. That's a conversation piece. Now, I'm not saying it's necessarily the right way to go about things, right? Everybody has their own tactics, but I've never been a president, so I can't give anybody a hard time on what's going to work and what's not going to work. But I think it definitely opens up a line of communication that might not have been there as much before. I'm not saying threats are the best way to do that, but it definitely gets your attention. If you weren't paying attention before, you're paying attention now. And we'll see what that does. If that helps support US-based businesses, or we work out a deal with China, and I don't know. But the ramifications of a tariff war, let's say, is pretty crazy. I mean, that's going to affect millions of people.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty crazy. This is not small. This is to be taken very seriously. But, people are, whatever, they're sharpening their knives right now. I don't know if the knives are going to be used. Hopefully they won't. And hopefully we can figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's wild, dude. I saw a guy. So I'm in billion different marketing entrepreneur groups, right? And one guy, he ordered his inventory. He's like 80K. And then like, in a week, he owed another 100K, so 180K on his 80K order. And as he was like scrambling to get the financing, like a day passed. Now he owes an extra 20K, so 200K on the 80K thing. Like, dude, like I don't know, like, do you even have enough margin to make profit on this anymore? Just like wild. But that's basically what I'm seeing too. Is kind of like hurry up and wait. Like, there's just so many moving variables, and everyone's kind of paralyzed by just how dynamic the whole situation is. So,
well, I mean, it's like anything else. You prepare for the worst and hope for the best, right? I mean, I wouldn't take this if I had a business and I was, importing stuff from China or from anywhere, I would take it very seriously. You might need to look around a little bit and see some backup manufacturers and stuff like that. I'm hoping that's not the deal. Don't be a sitting duck, though. Like, you can wait for the dust to settle. That doesn't mean you can't prepare for, and I don't say war because that's not the right term, but you got to prepare for the battle. So, don't be paralyzed. You got to kind of say, okay, hey, worst case scenario or best case scenario, we work some things out and there's a little bit of a higher tariff. Okay, great. Worst case scenario, now I'm paying double or triple. Can I afford that? And if I can't, then guess what? You got to start looking for some other options, right? Whether that's increasing your pricing, which can go, can be good or cannot be good, or hey, find another manufacturer, which obviously, it's hard to compete with China with how cheap their manufacturing is and other countries. And there's some value in that. I believe that. Yeah, man, it's going to be, I don't export anything or anymore like I used to back in the day. So I'm not as worried about it, but I definitely have clients and stuff that it's like, hey, I've had some good conversations with some people that are, once again, hopeful, but we'll see how it all turns out. Cause every day is like, oh, this is what's going to happen. Oh, now this is what's going to happen. And it's like, okay, you just put on your seatbelt and put on your helmet and just go for the ride. You just, just enjoy it. Just smile all the way.
The one positive thing so far that for me personally that's come out of it, obviously there's not that many positive things. It's quite a stressful situation across the board, but I was on Twitter just like looking, or X now, and just looking at what different people were saying, different thought leaders and stuff. And I just super randomly found this whole like reindustrialize America movement that's been going on for a while with like it was done like before the tariff thing, like they've been around for a
Yeah.
while. And the thing that was cool about it was just like people behind it are using all these like AI things to like revitalize Detroit. And like I thought that was cool. Like cool videos.
Yeah.
Cool videos of it.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there can be some upsides for I think both sides potentially. I mean, it might not feel that way, but the thing is that the change can be good. I mean, there is opportunity, and even
Oh
I
yeah.
know it's hard. I mean, there's always that when something happens, there is opportunity that opens up, and there's people that are going to be, let's say victims of it, and that's going to suck. And it's very easy because I'm not exporting or importing stuff, so it's very easy for me to say that. Say, "Oh, look at me, it's going to be fine." But I think it's important to look at how are you going to pivot. I mean, think about COVID. When
Oh
COVID
yeah.
happened, it was like,
So
what is going on right now?
glad you
Like,
brought this up. We'll get into the rapid fire section here shortly, but yeah, like during COVID, like before COVID, I would tell all the FBA entrepreneurs, all my e-commerce entrepreneurs, like you need to diversify your factory base. Like, oh, I have like 5 different backup factories, but they're all in China, and so when Shanghai's port shut down, it's like you may as well only had one because nothing's getting
yeah,
through, right?
yeah, that's the bottleneck. Your
Right.
bottleneck is right here. So it doesn't matter who comes in, nobody can go through. That's the issue.
Right, exactly. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I think it's too soon for anyone to make any too many major moves. I mean, how could you with
Yeah.
everything moving so quick? But we might do some kind of data study on it. Maybe I'll hit you up for it to see if you
Yeah,
survey your audience
absolutely.
on the
Absolutely. Yeah,
thoughts.
yeah. We've got a nice little juicy news list of all kinds of sellers. Whatever we can do to help you guys, man.
Awesome, man. Well, with that said, let's move into the rapid fire section. So I'm going to ask you 3 quick questions. You give me 3 quick answers. Are you ready?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. Yeah.
No pressure. I'm
Yeah.
going to throw a few here,
Don't
Shane.
don't be giving me hard questions, Greg. Everybody's judging me right now. You got to give me easy ones, like what my last name is or something.
This, depending on how you answer this will end the episode on either a 4.3 review or a 4.2 review. We both
I don't
know
want to drop, Greg.
how
No, I
detrimental.
want the people to like me.
All right, first question. What are the best hidden growth opportunities right now in the Amazon FBA world?
Yeah. I mean, I would say that the growth opportunities in FBA, I think there's a number of different things. A lot of the softwares I think that are out there, I mean, not only just TraceFuse, but other softwares that are looking at opportunities for, obviously for products that you can buy and products that you can sell. The hard part about that is we talked about is the tariffs, right? So if you're talking about, FBA obviously being a situation, then the tariffs are the things that are going to kind of tell us whether we're going to continue with FBA or how that's going to work if you need to cut some different places. But I would say really the software. I mean, back in the day when you were picking products, you'd have to go to China and do all kinds of stuff. But I think the software that's coming out and the data and everything on, now we can see sales and who's buying what and how many people are buying it and the lifetime value of that. I think that's, obviously a great opportunity there to be able to take a look at that and assess if those products make sense before you even launch.
Yeah, I think that all the data, like finding the market and the data for product market fit is so much easier today than even like
Yeah.
2017, 2018. So yeah, definitely good one. What tools or resources would you recommend to people to help manage their product reviews and grow their Amazon businesses?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I mean, obviously, TraceFuse being one for monitoring, because there's nobody that monitors ASINs and files, because nobody really knows how to file like we do. So that's, I mean, obviously that's a good one. But also, I would say there's some other good softwares like Smart Scout. Ecom Engine is another good one. There's some really good softwares out there that I think are that that do a great job of taking a look at if your sales are dropping or anything like that. I'm going to tell you this. I'm telling you this like it's just you and I or something like this isn't
Not
going to
all,
be sent out to
all
the
the
world.
children listening to this
I
podcast.
know. Okay, kids, go to bed. Uncle Shane's going to start talking about weird stuff again. No, we actually have a new software that we're creating that is going to be heavy, obviously, on the monitoring side of things. It's going to be outside of TraceFuse. But really, what we're going to be creating there is really looking at sales and your BSR and all that kind of stuff, and how if you don't remove reviews, how that's going to affect your listing. And so we're going to be creating something that's more of a do-it-yourself. Right, because TraceFuse is white glove. Hey, we take care of everything. We're going to have another software that we're creating that's going to be heavy on the sales side, and we'll actually have a great dashboard where they can be able to see, like, hey, if you head in this direction, because a lot of people sign up because they just want to remove reviews. I totally get that, but a lot of people don't know the value that if it drops or it goes higher, what does that look like for sales, right? So we're building out some stuff right now that's taken a while because it's obviously there's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of information that goes into that, but we're pretty excited about that. So that's going to be something that's coming, I'll say, in the next month or so.
Oh, dude, awesome. If you have a bunch of content about like the variable of ROI, like the BSR sales volume stuff when that comes out. Let me know. That sounds like it'd be a
I
really
definitely will.
fun
I
content.
definitely will. Yeah.
All right, my final question for you, my friend.
Yeah.
What
Let's
has
do it.
been your funniest moment working in the e-commerce industry?
My funniest moment. Oh man. I would say this is so in the e-commerce space. So what's been interesting is in Amazon. So we have quite a few clients that are in, I'll say health and wellness. That's my nice way of saying it since the kids are listening. But it's really like sex toys and stuff like that. So we have like people that, yeah, we're going there. Put the kids to bed, hurry. And reading some of the reviews of what people write in the industry and like the things that they're selling. So getting meet with the sellers and they're like kind of beat around the bush a little bit, like, well, I do, I sell wellness products. And I'm like, oh, okay, let's take a look at your ASIN. And I was like, yeah, I guess that helps wellness. Like, yeah, I mean, we all have definitions of what wellness is. So this, and you look at the reviews, dude, they are, I mean, I honestly, on a Friday night, I could just crack a beer and read those reviews, read like 100 reviews and sleep like a baby, man. Probably my stomach would hurt from laughing. I mean, that's, in the e-commerce space, obviously, but that has been pretty crazy to see, like just the things. And also the little, the sub niches, like where people are making crazy amounts of money on selling things. Like I had a lady, a client of mine, actually, this was outside of the Amazon space, and she would sell like, they were not recipes, they were like things for dresses, for like kids dresses, like little girl dresses, like tiny for like dolls.
Yeah.
And she would do the design or the what was it called, like you would buy the what's it called, the, oh my god, anyways, you would buy the thing on how to do the dress, right? I'm blanking on the name. And she was making millions of dollars, like crazy. She would just build out these little things, and she had this crazy community which she would launch. Everybody would go and pick up her thing. It was crazy. I had another, when I first jumped in the influencer space, I had a client by the name of Zoe Rodriguez. That's how I jumped in the influencer space. This was probably 9 years ago, 10 years ago. She was making like 42 grand a month off selling $20 ebooks. And this was
That's
before
a lot.
influencer marketing.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, dude, it was great. And her ebooks, and Zoe, if you're listening, I love you. I'm sorry that I'm going to say this. Her ebooks weren't like crazy. It was like, this is a sit up, this is a push up, do 5 of these a day. Like, but she had a very engaged audience that wanted to do it together. So she built a community. So that was really interesting. That kind of blew me away in the e-commerce space. I mean, that was not funny, but more of like, man, what is going on? Like, this is crazy right now. Like, she's making that kind of selling $20 ebooks. I couldn't even get a free email address off my website from people, and she's selling $20 ebooks. So, anyways, yeah, that kind of blew me away. I mean, that was less funny and more like, I thought it was like some stolen credit card ring or something. I was like, how are you making all this money off selling ebooks? Like, I don't get it. But eventually we ended up getting her to, like, she was doing, I don't know, almost 100,000 a month, which was pretty crazy for ebooks,
That's
So,
awesome.
anyways,
I have a
yeah, it
good
was cool.
here in Saigon. He's doing about like 70 to 100K a month, and it's an info product. It's not an ebook. It's like a course that he helps people with, and it's like B2C niche. It's not like a biz op thing or anything, but it's funny every time I meet him. He's just solopreneur dude, just living his best life. Lives in his penthouse. He always asks me how's my Zoom cage doing these days.
Your Zoom cage.
And it's
Still
like,
in it.
I'm the reason you started this because he used to be a super affiliate too, as well back in the day. Like, dude, you need to get out
Yeah.
of it. Go build your own product. You're so good with Facebook ads, and like he was so
Yeah.
deep into it that at this one point he had this entire supply chain of these guys in India that would go get these like prepaid credit cards, prepaid phones, to set up like fake Meta accounts to get new Meta ad accounts because he would be basically selling like dildos with Facebook ads, and so his ad account would just get hammered
All day long.
revolving through it all. And now since he moved to his own business, he makes a little bit less money, but it's way less stressful. He's working like
Oh yeah, because every day you're getting banned or knocked down, and I mean, you've got the hustle is the struggle at the end of the day, but it's not quite as stressful as if you got your own product. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, Shane, this has been an awesome conversation. It's always a pleasure chatting with you, and hopefully, we'll do some more content here, and maybe in the not too distant future. But for everyone that wants to, either pick your brain or check out what you're doing, where should we send them?
Yeah, so you guys can go over to TraceFuse. That's TraceFuse.ai. You guys can go over there and take a look. Also, we'll include in the show notes the TraceFuse.ai /Amazon review-checker. That's going to be the one where you guys can go in and see the reviews. If you guys want to go in and see which reviews are against Amazon's guidelines, you guys can file on your own. And once again, that's a free service. We don't charge anything for that. And then if you guys want to email me directly, it's just Shane, Shane, at tracefuse.ai. And also, I also want to remind everybody too, this is going to be very important, is go buy a business from Greg. Everybody. I want everybody to go buy a business.
Don't stop at one.
Buy as many as you can. Max out your accounts, grab all your cash, and buy as many businesses from Greg as possible. Thank you.
Make a very high leverage, risky decision tonight.
Exactly. I don't know why I bought 9 businesses yesterday, but I don't know what happened.
It was a pleasure, man. We will put all those links in the show notes, and I look forward to having you on again, man.
All right, brother, man. Thank you so much, man. This is awesome. I'm looking forward to it. And we might need to talk here soon, too, because TraceFuse is taking off. We might have a little conversation.
I might get you to sell business by the end of this podcast.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. Hey.
All right. There you have it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it got you inspired at all the different things that are happening in this industry. And of course, if you just want to buy a highly profitable business, you can always go to empireflippers.com/marketplace. Or maybe you want to make an exit of your highly profitable business, and you could go to empireflippers.com/sell your site. I've been your host, Greg. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you leave a review, give us a like, a follow, share it across social media. Talk to you all soon. See you on the next episode.